Zach is back with an HBO original review. Boy, do I have a treat for you guys today. The Outsiders is an HBO original based off the novel by Stephen King, The Outsiders. So I really don't want to spoil anything for you guys when it comes to this show, so when I'm talking about the plot, I'm going to be bare bones as possible for you. We follow our main character, Ralph Anderson, which is a grieving father as well as a detective for the police department. He's called to investigate a brutal rape and murder of a young boy. He was murdered off the corner of a hiking trail out in the woods. The kid is just massacred. He's ripped apart. He almost looks like wolves got to him, except there's actually human teeth marks in the boy. All the evidence, including camera evidence, eyewitnesses, DNA evidence, is all pointing to a guy named Terry Maitland as the definitive killer. What's the issue, right? I mean, you have all the evidence, lock him up, be done with it. But there's a slight issue. Basically, there's camera evidence, eyewitness evidence, and DNA evidence putting Terry Maitland in the next town 70 miles away during the time of the boy's death, meaning that he was in two places at once. And this is where the intrigue of the show comes in. Detective Ralph has to figure out how this guy murdered this boy and also was in the next town 70 miles away during the exact same time, which is basically impossible. So now I'm just going to go ahead and get into my opinion. Alright, I'm telling you right here, right now, that this show is fantastic. It's phenomenal. The acting is fantastic, especially from Ben Mendelsohn, which is the guy who plays Ralph. And Jason Bateman as the murderer is great in this show as well. Ben plays a great damaged character, and boy, do I love my damaged characters. Ben makes you feel all the sadness and distress and the depression in a guy who has lost his child and is kind of going through this grieving process. It's hard to even explain the greatness in his acting. It's just amazing. It's very well done. It's actually very realistic. I really enjoyed it in this show. I mean, it's just, And Bateman as the role of Terry Maitland is perfect in this show. And the reason it is perfect is that just Bateman's face in real life, he has such a likable, kind of charismatic personality, and the way he looks, he just kind of looks like the average nice dude that, you would never suspect of murdering or killing anybody. So when Terry Maitland is accused of raping and murdering this small young boy, it's hard to imagine Terry as that person to do it. And it's great because in this show, they want you to second guess yourself. And he has that persona about him that makes you want to second guess yourself. So he just works perfectly in that role, just perfect. The beauty about the show, too, in my opinion, is that this show always makes the audience second-guess themselves. And it's not in, like, an annoying way, because sometimes that can be annoying in shows, but in a very, very compelling way. The show keeps you in this Goldilocks zone, where you're getting questions answered, and you're never out of the loop, but there's always new evidence that ends up turning up that kind of vibe checks all your theories that you've been making in your head. And that's what makes this show cool, is that it's always keeps you on edge, and it's always in this Goldilocks zone where you're getting information that you need, and you're going, okay, I'm making new theories. But then they slam your theories down, and then you have to create a new one. So you're always, like, trying to figure out what's going on. And that's what's good about this show. It never feels like you just absolutely figured it out, in my opinion. Personally, for me, I think a lot of investigation shows are kind of stupid, in my opinion. Because usually what happens in shows is that there will be a person that's either guilty or not guilty, until they get a piece of evidence that ends up connecting all the dots right at the end of the show. And it's just so boring, in my opinion. They do that all the time. It just kind of, it's almost like a trope when it comes to investigation shows now. Yeah, The Outsiders completely changes that investigation format and flips it right on its head. Stephen King knew what he was doing when he wrote his book. He wanted to change the format of the investigation genre. He even has a quote from his book kind of pointing to that. Let me read it real quick. People are blind to explanations that lie outside the perception of reality. And that kind of encapsulates this show, but you won't understand it until you've watched the show. What's also great about the show is all the side characters. All the side characters are completely irrelevant. There's never a person that never needed to be there in the first place. You end up caring for basically all of them, and you understand their frustration in this paradox that they end up getting themselves in. And because you care about all the characters in the show, it makes the deaths in the show more visceral and real feeling than just having a crash test dummy being killed by a monster with a knife. I mean, like, stupid shit like that happens all the time in horror / investigation shows. The only issue I have with The Outsiders is that I wish the end was just a little bit more climactic. But other than that, the show is basically perfect. So if you guys have HBO, you need to watch this show immediately. And The Outsiders gets absolutely an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and do all of that YouTube business. Please click the little bell because that will give you notifications because I'm going to be producing more content soon. And until next time, you guys, see ya!